Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. And I'm going to hit this week hard, really hard, because last week I didn't feel like we'd do any business and we didn't. This week I've got a feeling in my bones that we're going to do some business. And some business, could be one, could be two. I don't think we'll do three. I'm not that excited, but we've got a Hotometer back on my left as well. We're going to be talking about Icardi, Sancho, Koulibaly, Firpo and a few others as well. So let's get into it. But I want to start off with the Hotometer for those people who don't understand what that's all about. So that is my top 7 players at the moment I think we're going to sign. It's only my opinion based on things I've read, told, feeling in the water, whatever you want to call it. So 8 and 8 for Wan-Bissaka and Bruno Fernandes. That means I'm 80% sure we're going to sign them. So quite high. And I do still put Bruno Fernandes ahead of Wan-Bissaka. You know why. But yes, hopefully those two deals will be done this week. We spoke about Bruno Fernandes last night. If you didn't see the video, give it a watch. Maguire, I think it's 50-50. Probably going to go to Man City. I'd rather he did if we took the guy at the bottom, Koulibaly, who I'm 30% sure. Bale, I'm still keeping in. I'm still keeping Bale in because I still think there is something to go off there, especially in relation to Pogba. The two players that you will notice have dropped out, De Ligt and Meunier. Meunier's been in there since the start. Obviously, I think that's going to not happen anymore. We've focused on Wan-Bissaka. And De Ligt, I just don't think we were in for him. I don't think we were probably ever in for him seriously. So he's out. Rabiot's in there. And Ndembele's a new joiner, really. Simply because where's Ndembele going to go? Where is Ndembele going to go? Because everyone talks about Juventus, maybe Spurs, but Juventus can't sign everyone. They want Rabiot as well. They can't sign everyone. They've got so many midfielders. You never know, and apparently United are in for him. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. But let's fly into the targets today. Going to start off with Icardi. Another thing we mentioned last night is the struggle to get rid of players. Lukaku, Inter can't afford him, so they want to get rid of Icardi. There's talk of Icardi wanting to stay at Inter or go to Juventus. Gazzetta dello Sport, I think, was saying that Icardi doesn't want to come to Manchester United. Well, if he doesn't want to come, you don't sign the player. But if that's a load of nonsense, I do believe, why would you not go for Icardi? And I think some people don't know enough about Icardi. I think they think, well, his wife's his agent, he's a bit of a troublemaker, whatever. Doesn't get in the Argentinian team. Doesn't get in the Argentinian team because his wife used to be married to a former, I think it was Maxi Rodriguez, was it? Or something like that. So he used to be married to her, she used to be married to him, and he's not transgender or anything like that. And then she went off with Icardi. That upset a lot of the Argentinian players who doesn't get picked by Argentina. It's as simple as that. You're talking about a guy, I've got his stats here, 188 games for Inter, 111 goals. That's pretty impressive. Former captain of Inter until all the problems. And also, look, I like Icardi. If you go back through videos of the United Stand, I like Icardi. I really do. I've wanted him to come to United for years, and we've got an opportunity to bring him to us. He's better than any striker we've got at the club by a long, long way. He's an absolute beast in the box. And I don't mean a beast like powerful. He can score off both feet. He can score off his header, off his head. You give him a chance, he'll score the goals. And we haven't really had a striker like that at United for a long, long time. I think Zlatan sort of touched on it a little bit when we had him for that year. But Lukaku, Rashford, they're not clinical. Martial's clinical, but we don't play him up front. But Icardi, very, very clinical. The only weakness to Icardi's game, and I think this is maybe why Solskjaer wants to give him a swerve, is not his attitude. He's just not as fast as, a lot of strikers are these days. So maybe that's why we're not looking at him. But look, he can hold the ball up really well. He is quite a technical player, but his threat is in and around the box. Goal scoring off both feet, off his head. I would take him as part of the Lukaku deal because he has got a point to prove. And yeah, you've got to find a way for him to start. And I think that means putting Rashford on the bench, doesn't it? But maybe put Rashford on the right. Maybe put Rashford on the right-hand side and don't buy a right winger. And have Martial on the left, Daniel James as a backup, Lingard, Mata, and put Icardi up front. I just would go with him. And I know I'm probably in the minority here, but I really like Icardi, and I've said it for a long time. And there's an opportunity there. Conte doesn't want to keep Icardi at Inter, and he desperately wants Lukaku. We'll probably never get as good a chance to get a striker like that, and I don't think it would backfire. I don't know what you lot think. Jadon Sancho, I think it was Sam Pilger in the Forbes I was reading, in Forbes magazine, or it was an article in Forbes anyway, talking about Jadon Sancho, which basically verifies a lot of what we've been talking about on this channel for a while. United want Sancho. They've wanted Sancho for a while. I think they got positive feedback from Sancho. But what Sam Pilger's talking about, and it's probably true, is that there is no leeway from Dortmund to sell. They don't want to sell. They're not even giving an inch. They're not even saying, well, if you go to this fee, we might think about it. They're giving absolutely nothing. So United basically having to give up on that Sancho deal. I mean, do you walk away from Sancho deal or not? I mean, look, if Dortmund are absolutely adamant there's nothing that can be done to make them change their minds, fine, fair enough. But I think everyone's got a price. And I think, as I say, £100 million for Sancho, it seems a lot for a teenager who's only had one season for Dortmund. But I think that Barcelona spent 135 million on Dembele from Dortmund. And Sancho will be worth, he's English as well. He will be worth 100 million, 120 million in a year at Old Trafford. So I would just go 100 million and see what they do. He is exactly what we need on that right-hand side. He's only 19. He is English. He'd be with us for years. He's an absolutely brilliant talent. And I wouldn't walk away from that, because I think if we walk away from Sancho now, you walk away from Sancho forever. So I wouldn't walk away from that. I would go in with a big deal. But it appears that United probably will walk away from that Sancho. Firpo, let me get his first name. I don't know much about this guy. Left back for Real Betis. Junior Firpo. Betis left back. Marca are basically saying that Betis wouldn't stand in the way if United came in with a decent offer, which is believed to be about £25 million. I think he's 22. Look, in all honesty, I'd be very surprised if we did this deal, but it's the second time we've been linked to him. We were linked to him a few weeks ago, and maybe we're being mentioned just to help him move along, because that sometimes happens. But you know what? We actually do need a bit of competition for. Some would say we need Luke Shaw replacing. I don't think that. I really rate Luke Shaw, but if Luke Shaw gets injured, who plays left back? Are we back to the days of putting people out of position again, like Delo and Young there? So for 25 million, and if he's going to come in and give it a bit of competition for Shaw, because look, I've got to look at it from a democratic point of view. My opinion about Luke Shaw is not shared by all of you. So, maybe bringing a player in that can do a little bit of role, push Shaw in that role could be quite interesting. I don't know much about the lad. He's well thought of in Spain. But yeah, it's interesting, so I'll bring it to your attention. The one I really want to bring to your attention, and he doesn't actually get a profile below, but we all know about Kalidou Koulibaly. He'll be 28 this summer. I did say this on a show over the weekend, that it seems to me that Manchester United, Mourinho wanted Koulibaly, and whether we would have got Koulibaly if Mourinho hadn't been sacked, I don't know. But what happened, I believe, with the Koulibaly is Mourinho got the sack and United kept doing a bit of work on him and kept trying to sign him because he's a good centre-back. In May, there was a lot of talk about Manchester United signing Koulibaly, and then it sort of stopped because there was this belief that Koulibaly could not be bought because Ancelotti said he'll be at Napoli next year. Napoli seemed to be saying, no, we're not going to sell. But there's interesting things about Koulibaly because you can go one of two ways, because Koulibaly signed a long-term contract with Napoli at the start of last season, so you'd think, well, Napoli are in a strong position. But then Koulibaly changed his agent after that, which makes you think, why have you changed your agent? Is he angling for a move? On top of that, over the last few days, we've seen Liverpool linked with him, Man City linked with him, and Juventus linked with him. And you start to think, well, for a player that's not being sold, why are so many stories coming out about Koulibaly? Somebody's feeding that. Either Napoli are feeding it, or the players feeding it. So I don't think Koulibaly's as ungettable as people think. And if that's the case, United want Koulibaly, and United should go for Koulibaly, because it's interesting that Sarri's gone to Juventus, and apparently Sarri wants Koulibaly because obviously he used to manage Napoli, so they're in for him. But Juventus are meant to be signing De Ligt, so suddenly opportunities arise. If Harry Maguire goes where he wants to go, apparently, which is Man City, and Juventus get De Ligt, Koulibaly, it suddenly becomes a free run for Manchester United. Of course, what we can't do is go in and offer stupid money, i.e. stupid money offer way below what he's worth. But you know what, £85 million, £90 million, I think Napoli would quite fancy that for a 28-year-old centre-back. And for Manchester United, he'd be absolutely perfect for what we need at the club. So that's where I would be looking if I was Manchester United. You've got to look at that Koulibaly deal and go, you know what, that's what we need to push. And also, on top of Koulibaly, I think we're all, July the 1st is coming. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but we're all looking at this transfer window and going, oh, panic, who's the centre-back? The great thing about the Koulibaly thing is, through no fault of Woodward or Solskjaer or anybody else, you can't sign Koulibaly at the moment because he's playing in the AFCON for Senegal, isn't he? So you focus on Wan-Bissaka, you get Bruno Fernandes in, you maybe get another midfielder in, you go and sort your right winger out, you go out on tour, and then when you come back off the tour and the AFCON's over, you sign Koulibaly towards the back end of July, and it's not ideal. But I would say this to you, like if you've got a choice between Harry Maguire signing this week and then going on tour with us, or you've got this choice between having to wait for Koulibaly, he doesn't go on tour and he just joins us at the end of the month. What do you go with? Like, I think some people would say, well, yeah, Harry Maguire, because then he goes on tour with us. But is it really worth getting a player who's less good as Koulibaly just so he can go on tour with us and have a bit of training? I mean, I don't think it's going to take Koulibaly too long to get up to speed with things. So I think in many ways it could be the perfect deal for United because they can work on it a little bit longer. He doesn't have to go on the tour, so there's no pressure. And you come back and you've got a top-class centre-back. So I think that could work out very, very well for Manchester United. Very well indeed. And I hope something comes of it. Talking about July the 1st, we are 1 week away from Manchester United going back pre-season training. 1 week. And but that's not what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about July the 1st is quite a key date because there are players out there that on July the 1st are going to announce their future. They could announce it before, but a lot of them won't do because it's to do with loyalty bonuses and all that shit. So, I mean, Rabiot is on there. He's going to announce on July the 1st. I expect he'll go to Juventus. Griezmann's another one. I expect him to go to Barcelona. But there are a few others as well. So I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how that develops with July the 1st for sure. But yeah, I want to hit this week with... I have some optimism this week. And I think mainly because it's the last week before we go back on pre-season. And I do think we'll be doing stuff next week. I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I don't actually know if it's factual or not, but I'm sure he did say he wanted, he hoped to have the business done by July the 1st. But in all honesty, this week's a big week, and I think we'll do stuff this week. And I think we will get Wan-Bissaka this week by Friday, as a lot of people are reporting. Hopefully Bruno Fernandes as well. A lot of people are going to be coming back from holiday, and I think we can use next week as well. I think the next 2 weeks are really key. The next 2 weeks are massive. And I do start to think, because we haven't done much business, have we got one or two players like Rabiot that we can't sign until July the 1st? So, because if you have got a player like Rabiot coming in on July the 1st, well, that's another signing, isn't it? It's another signing. You get Rabiot, Bruno Fernandes, Wan-Bissaka in the next week. Suddenly, you've got two midfielders and a right back, and all you need is a centre back and a right winger. So it could go that way. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but it could go that way. But I do think that this week's big, but next week's still a big week as well. Just because it's July the 1st and they're back in training, they're training for a week in Manchester. So we could still bring players in next week and they'll still go on the tour. So 2 weeks are big, but we've got, I'll tell you what, if we hit Friday and we've done nothing, it is panic stations. There can't be no business done this week. So it's a big week for Manchester United. Please do smash a like on the video, everyone. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and get your comments in below. We spoke about Icardi, definitely for me. We spoke about Koulibaly, definitely for me. Sancho, I would just go in high because he's the perfect right winger. He is. I think he's the perfect right winger. Firpo, it's interesting. There's probably nothing in it, but it is interesting because a backup left back or someone to fight Luke Shaw, I never thought we needed to do that this summer, but long term we do need some backup in the left back position, and backup should always be competing as well, so that would be good. And what do you think about my hotometer? You don't trust me on Bruno Fernandes, do you? I know that. But Wan-Bissaka, 80% sure. Bruno Fernandes, 80% sure. And then a few players there. And Ndombele, Ndombele could be interesting as well. Rabiot may well go to Juventus and Ndombele could come to us. So there is stuff. And I just hope it really... I'm optimistic about this week. I may be stupid to be that, but I am optimistic. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like. And I will speak to you all at 8 o'clock tonight or maybe at lunchtime if there is anything going on. Thanks for watching.